Alright, so I'll be doing the replay analysis now for Mr. Tau. First off, thank you for choosing me to do this. I appreciate it as always. I love doing these type of things, so I'm just going to quickly now read through what you had to say. You just wanted to know what was the reason you lost, what can I improve on. You're around 4.5k MMR. This was a Smurf game in the 3k bracket, and you have trouble carrying even in 3k bracket when you party queue. They don't listen if my pings. Okay, so it seems like you're just struggling overall. Let's just go into it. So you were the jug this game, it seems. Let me double check. Yeah. Alright. So it looks like your lane... Okay, that's actually a pretty hard lane. Oh, okay, that's a big mistake, actually. So first off, never do this, honestly. Maybe if it saves you from feeding first blood, this is worth it, but I would never. I would pretty much rather let them kill me here than lose my salve right away. It's just not worth it. Okay, yeah, this is a disaster, and pretty much, like, right, I would have rather died to Sunstrike, probably, than have to TP back to base like this. This is extremely bad. First off, don't buy 2 clarities. You never really want to buy clarities on Jug. I would say it's just better for you to have a mango. You actually could have bought 2 mangoes if you had the gold, so that would have been a lot better. Clarities are pretty useless in lane in this meta because there's never really a good time to use them on carries, at least. Okay, so yeah, but this is extremely bad for you. I cannot stress enough like how bad this is. I played a game recently where I was not the carry role, but I was the position 5 supporter, and I was had a lane, and I used all my regen right off the bat, and this ended up killing me just because pretty much I traded for the bounty route. I got it, but then I used every single one of my tangos because I just had a bristleback quilling me the entire time, and it was not worth it. I came into the lane with 1 tango and like 300 HP. It's just not worth it. You have to TP back to base. You're gonna miss levels. I had to miss levels. It really is just a disaster to do this. It's much better to just die, in my opinion, especially if it's not first blood. Okay, yeah. So it's actually a bigger deal than you would think. This lane's a little bit hard. You definitely have to play defensive. You can't really win this lane, in my opinion. Maybe you can prep a kill with like silencer harass, but for the most part, you're just gonna hopefully you get points in your healing ward this game. It's definitely crucial. This meta is all about pretty much about like sustain. So if you're not buying, if you don't have healing ward by level 4, it's definitely a mistake. For now, it's okay. Obviously, so I've been learning a lot myself about the landing stage and polling and stuff, and right now I don't expect you to get your supports to do whatever's perfect or whatever's correct, but you don't even have to pull here. The lane's fine, but pretty much in a lot of circumstances it's ideal to push out the lane and then so that they can't contest the pull. This might apply when you get further in MMR, but for now what you're doing is alright. Okay, I wouldn't mind. That death is actually fine by a silencer. I think it's almost a good thing. As crazy as that sounds. Okay. Alright, definitely gonna miss a few CS here. So another reason why you want to push out the lane, another reason why this is like super beneficial to do is, okay, first off, you could say, I'm pushing out the lane, I'm just going to spin it. You could even spin it, right? Because as long as you believe that you won't feed afterwards, you could prep all the creeps, spin down the lane, and then the lane's going to push, right? And it might seem like, oh, I don't want to do that, but as long as your support goes and pulls, it allows you to get to the side shop, right? So earlier, then you could have had your quelling blades, so you didn't miss a few of those CS. Of course, maybe you could have gotten them regardless, but overall, I think it's just better if you push at the lane. Therefore, you can get to the side shop much earlier. I really think you should be buying a quelling blade. I don't know why you wouldn't. This hero has pretty low damage, only 54, so. And your CS is definitely a little low. Your denies are pretty good, but yeah, you're really skipping out on it here, which I don't particularly like your last hits early on are so important just because they allow you to, like, there's some games where you can have to accept the fact that you're not going to get CS, but this definitely isn't one of those games. So I'm going to hope you get Healing Ward here. I think it's really important. Okay, you do. That's good. Okay. Like, overall, what you're doing right now is like, okay, there's always like, okay, you could have lasted it better, and stuff like that. But the main current mistakes up to this time are like, the usage of that salve was definitely a big deal, because maybe you could have played the lane a little more aggressive, or at least not had to buy another salve. You know, it's 100 gold, it matters. And then killing you is like 100 gold, so you can pretty much, you know, it like almost goes even. There's just not a reason to do it, and you would have probably gotten a few more CS from being in the lane and be level like 5 right now. But definitely, I would recommend, if you feel like you need a Quelling Blade in some lanes, and it's a hard lane per se, then I think pushing out the lane is great. And then it's even better if you communicate your support to pull. Let's say you do push out the lane and your support doesn't go to pull. It's really not that big of a deal if you go to do it, because 2 CS at this point in the game, if it's melee creeps, is like kind of like a small camp. So if you get all the CS on the small camp to bring the lane back, you'll get XP that way, and the lane will pull back to you, and you'll get the wave under tower or something of the sort. So I know that's kind of a lot to take in. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to ask, because it's kind of a confusing concept somewhat, but hopefully I explained it decently enough. So you actually end up getting free farm, and I'm not gonna lie, like, this obviously is like a characteristic of this being kind of like a 3K game. So I don't think this lane is weak in any sense. All right, that's a good spin. You'll definitely pick up a kill. I would learn to use the movement command, if you know what I mean. I actually personally don't even use it, but I think it's something important if you're a jug player. Yeah, I think there'd be even potentially a lot more for me to talk about if they're actually harassing you out of lane, but they're putting very little pressure, and this is where like the clarity's kind of awkward, because you don't want to get a pop, but you miss a CS. It's just like, you actually get a fair amount of value out of this one, to be fair. And the reason it might be like, oh, okay, there you go, it's justified, the clarity, right? But to be perfectly honest, I think like it's just like a habit or something, not even a habit, but just something you do that it's really not that effective when people start putting pressure. Because I don't know what this lane is. It's like really weird. Grimstroke's like TPing away. Clockwork's just ganking mid. If this lane played you aggressive, they could kind of just push you out of the lane, potentially. And they could contest a ton of CS, which would be the reason for you to really need to get a Quelling Blade. Because to be honest, 38 is kind of low, considering how little pressure you've actually had. So I don't know how much of that had to do with missing CS. Obviously, I saw you miss a few, but okay, you spin this. Let's see what you do next. You know, I'm kind of okay with this. I would use my clarity here for sure, though. Because once you see them all TP away, there's a lot of value out of the clarity in this instance. Okay, use it here. I don't mind this play, only because you saw them all rotate, so I think this is actually a good call on your part to pressure in the tower. Maybe here. Okay, yeah, see, like, this is a big mistake. Like, this is very, very unnecessary. First off, like, here, you could have been taking this camp a while ago. Like, this movement needs to be a lot cleaner. First off, I don't know why. I know I keep saying this, but I really don't know why you didn't buy Quelling Blade, especially if you're going to be like in a free farm lane. Like here, like, it just took you way too long. You spin out the wave. Right here, you spin out the wave, and you either hit the tower, you continue to hit it, and you hit it. Okay, so it gets fortified here. I'd be like, okay, I can't hit this anymore, or no need to hit it anymore. And I would run straight to the side camp and start farming it. But you don't want to spend this much gold on regen. It's 200 gold. Like, you really don't need that much. You could ship out a clarity. I think that's fine. Like, especially if you're getting this passive of lane, the clarities are fine. But a salve is completely unnecessary. No doubt is unnecessary when you have Healing Ward, and you're not going to take a lot of harass here. 8 armor hero at this point, 13 armor hero at this point. Like, you can tell obviously the inefficiency you have not having Quelling Blade. Here, you definitely want to go aggro on this guy. You probably could have gone aggro right away, but that's not the end of the world. It's just like crazy that they let you get such a level advantage, but like now you just have a random salve. Just once again, like all these, it's just I have no problem with you farming a small camp there. It's just like okay, this. Okay, that was a really big misplay actually. This is a big deal. First off, right here. So I think it's actually okay for you to go aggro here, but in order to do this, you need to make this play onto the other hero, Grimstroke. Sorry, I blanked out. Like your movement could have, to make this worthwhile, your movement should have been okay. I see the Grimstroke. I believe you see him here. Okay, maybe not. All right, so you walk into lane. Okay, so you don't see the Grimstroke yet. Here you see him. Maybe your reaction can be like walk through here and go on him, but you can't really walk up to the clockwork. I'm kind of surprised he cogged you there. That was like kind of weird that he cogged you that fast, but in this situation, during the spin, right here, it is very crucial that right here, when you're finally getting your disengage, like when you realize you kind of have to disengage, that you put up your healing ward. Like right when you turn away here, you should put it up somewhere. It would definitely have kept you alive here, no doubt. You probably could have killed them both. And you kind of don't auto-attack there. So yeah, I mean, that was just really messy. And deaths like that are extremely bad. You just gave this guy nearly level 6. This guy level like 7-ish. What was he before that? Look at this. Okay, he had a tome actually. So I'm guessing he ate a tome as well. Okay, so not that much. But pretty much like, that's just a lot of gold you're feeding away for no reason. Like, you cannot. This is something that's hard for me to teach. Like it's hard for me to teach. Like, oh, this is the exact damage value you're gonna do, and you know it's kind of like a feel thing, right? But you really I don't know how you cut those out of your game, but pretty much you just need to be smarter about that. You just have to spin. Like if you are a big jug player, you need to spin. Try to get on top of the Grimstroke there, especially now that he can't dodge Omni Slash with his Ink Spell, like the damage at least. And then if you are disengaging, then if you're disengaging, put up your healing ward. Like there's a ton of different things you could have done there, and you still don't have a Coiling Blade. I don't know. I'm just kind of stressing it just so you like know what's best. But yeah, only having 70 CS in a lane like this. In a lane like this is just. It's not really good enough, in my opinion. You really have to kind of maximize your efficiency. You're just auto-attacking small. Like all these, you just had to spend 2 attacks instead of 1, which might not seem like a big deal, but maybe then you could have pushed this out and then taken the large camp. I don't know why your wand's in your backpack, to be honest. Doesn't make too much sense. And now you're gonna go Maelstrom. I definitely don't think I like this. I think this is either a Battle Fury game or like a. I don't know too much about Juggernaut, but. Okay, so TP top here. Alright, I don't know how. I don't really love the initial Omni Slash. Hopefully you finish off this kill. Oh no. Okay, you get him. Actually, don't think you should be so afraid here. So this TP is it's alright. It's not bad. Need to definitely micro your healing ward better. Got to keep it behind yourself so that you can not get killed. This game is actually really weird because it's very different from what I'm used to seeing, which is more of like a pressure to safe lane meta. But pretty much what happened in this game and how you need to carry this game is you. Like realistically, like if you wanted to get to 5k, 5.5k, the difference of you and a 5k jug right now is the 5k jug probably would have around like 120 CS right now or 110. Just being realistic. I don't mean to say this to like put you down in any way. It's just like they would have 0 deaths hands down. Like they wouldn't have died. Maybe they would have even taken the tower by. Using the card wave timing, I'm not sure. I didn't really look into it to be honest, so I can't comment on it perfectly. But like you've been given a completely free game, so there's no doubt in my mind you can carry this game, and you should carry this game, for the most part. I don't know how I feel about this Maelstrom. It's probably fine. I just don't know too much about Jugg. Definitely span late. Oh boy. Okay. I was close. Probably just instantly spin away there. Don't take your chances. And you have way too much downtime. Like you just spend so much time doing kind of nothing. Oh boy. Like this is just. There's once again like I'm not gonna say. Like there's never a point in Dota where everything is your fault, but pretty much if these people don't push the map well. So in my opinion, in order to just easily win these games, you need to be playing your laning stage, except like being happy, extremely happy. First of all, you can't instantly spin here. That's just like a big no-no. And you Omni slash this guy who's probably gonna go swalk, right? And now you're gonna die for it if they're any good. And you do. Like right here, if you have enough mana for spin, you just don't die, and you can spin out of it. Because like spin just not going to do enough damage to a full HP invoker. Like you kind of use spin when you can prep a kill with it offensively. Okay, he actually does end up getting the kill. This is surprisingly okay, but oh boy, all right, that's kind of a weird goal. But yeah, you're just kind of playing sloppy right now. Your movements need to be more of like a. Okay, so I think you dodging the invoker was good, but by leaving the bottom lane, I don't know how I feel about that, because you kind of just give invoker a free tower. However, if you do make that play and your team sets up top, and you get the top tower, then it's worth it, right? But instead you just sacrificed your tower, didn't get much out of it. You led the fight with Omni Slash, which is usually questionable. Sometimes it's okay if you feel like they can lock you down, but you kind of just Omni Slash to Clockwork, which is just a little bit awkward in that previous fight. It's just these little hiccups where you try to do too much, right? There's no, at that point, oh, I'm sorry, you lost your bottom tower afterwards. You were trying to defend it, right? Just a lapse of memory. But there's really no reason for you to defend that tower. Instead, what you should have been doing is just like, you farm your, let's say you have a Maelstrom by now. I think it's fine. I would have to look more into Jugg to criticize your item builds. I mean, I know the standard are like Battle Fury and Manta Style, stuff like that. But pretty much, what you could have been doing this game, you pretty much could have had like nearly another item. Like, I would argue you could have Yasha and Ultimate Orb by this point. And it might sound crazy because you only have 800 gold right now, but if you, like, every little thing adds up. That's how Dota works, right? Like, the best players, when they don't make all these little mistakes, so their game, and so unless someone causes them to make these mistakes by, like, actually putting them in a bad situation rather than them putting themselves in a bad situation, which you've done multiple times this game, then they'll carry the game. I have a teammate who I recently began playing, not recently, but fairly recently began playing with, and he's around rank 50 as a carry player. And he's just very smooth with his movements in the laning stage. He plays his lane well. He doesn't overextend, and pretty much unless they pressure him, he's gonna be making pretty solid movements that doesn't put him in a threatening position. He buys the right items. It's just kind of like he's just a clean player. Is what I would kind of say to explain it. So here, I don't mind you fighting. I don't like this play though. Oh boy. Alright. Interesting. So, I mean, maybe, yeah, I don't know. You kind of have to wait for your team there. I can tell, it seems like you're a little bit tilted after a play like that. Open AI dunk right there. Alright, looks like your out got beat a lot harder than you should have. But pretty much, in order to carry a game like this, you just need to be really clean. And honestly, I'll continue watching through the replay, but the main things you need to work on are mostly your decision making. Like, you got given a free farm lane, and it's almost as if like your farm currently and your score represents to me that you've been getting run at by high kill threats the entire game, because they have no way to cancel spin TP when Clockwork is constantly showing on the map. Like, it's not like this guy's staying off the map and hunting you and saving hookshot, stuff like that. It's just you're kind of putting yourself in these unnecessary bad situations where you simply could be jungling. Like, I don't think it's proper to jungle when you have Omni Slash. So your TP top is good, right? You TP top, you get a kill, that's fine, right? Maybe you feel like you can't lane against Invoker, and you're probably right. He had a really good start. He has alacrity. He'll just right click you to death. That's fair, right? I'm totally cool with all these plays, but pretty much in order to actually carry a game like this, you cannot have 3 deaths against a team comp that has very little kill threat against you, especially when they're not working together. The reasons you have died is because of unnecessary aggression or uncalculated aggression. You need to, like, some of this is just experience, right? Like, by not, like, I could have told you by experience, you can't just go on the Invoker there like that. In that lane situation, you can't just spin on the Clockwork. But in order to cut this out, you need to either to watch the replays of the professionals. It's not really something that I think playing a lot will help you, but you'll have to play a ton. Really, I would say watching professionals and how they judge things and execute is important. Like this spin, I don't understand why you spin, really. Maybe you knew they were coming? I don't know, it's still a little questionable. And your item build is looking a little weird to me, because I really feel like you need a method this game for like Grimstroke stuff. Maybe not, but let's see. Sorry. Like, and here, right here, what you need to be doing is when they group up. Okay, so this guy's getting pretty farm, and it's to the point where, like, right, so like, you're on top of CS, but I would argue you could have around like 200, 210, maybe around 220 right now. You've had unlimited space this game, pretty much. If you made the correct decisions, let's just put it in this perspective, because me explaining the perfect way to play Dota in a single sentence or a few sentences is extremely difficult for me, right? It's just hard to do. So what I'm going to say, however, that I think is a concept that I think you could have applied is, if you went to the safest area of this game, and if you just picked the safest lane, for instance, when Evoker TP's bottom, maybe you go mid or top like you did, even though it's not technically safe. It's not really dangerous because you're pretty strong and high leveled at that point. But if you constantly didn't try to force things, which I'm not saying is correct, but this is all just me just trying to get a point across. If you didn't force things and didn't make these plays that are like unnecessarily risky, and not really calculated, then you could have easily 13 or 14k net worth. Okay, maybe, sorry, I'm saying that's without kills, because I'm saying like you pretty much just dodge. You could actually, no, you probably could if you went like Battle Fury and just did this. You could easily be on top of the network charts, hands down. You could be. And in a game like this, if they're split pushing like this, and you're just running down mid with like Battle Fury Manta right now, which you easily could have. You could easily have a Battle Fury Manta and maybe even some of your Diffusal Blade. And you were just pressuring mid and then pressuring this tower, and if they TP back, you just have Dust and Omni Slash. If it's Invoker, he dies. Anyone else pretty much just dies. Maybe not Morphling. Morphling's quite good against Jugg in many different ways. It's not a good matchup for Jugg, in my opinion. But now you're just like AFK, and I'm assuming at this point you're probably a little tilted, but you should be either jungling right now and then TPing back to defend, or you should, or pressuring a lane in at the least, because there's only one hero that kills you when you're split pushing, unless their Invoker's like really skilled, or you make some mistake. Sorry, got a cough. Then you probably won't get picked off. So here you're gonna probably just Omni Slash this guy. I was gonna say, when you have Maelstrom, you should be trying to auto attack him. And this is a game where here, let me just quickly was that the whole reason you lost? Of course you're not the whole reason you lost. There's very little there's pretty much no situation in Dota why you're the only reason you lost. That's never the case, actually. However, you could have done a ton more to win this game. And I would say, in order to improve, although I don't support the idea of AFK farming in any sense, what I would say could be beneficial for you is trying to learn farming patterns. This is a game where, once again, I'm just stressing this. I do not think it's the best way to play Dota is AFK farming or jungling. Really, I don't think that's the best way to become a top tier player. But in order to learn flash farming and the ability to just carry games where you get a ton of space, and especially when you get to a certain point where people want you to take advantage of the space they're making rather than actually trying to fight, then you need to understand these farming patterns. And in a game like this, especially on a hero like Juggernaut that is very cooldown reliant for the most part, like you can't really fight unless you have Omni Slash for the majority of games. Like here, I just don't really like you're constantly trying to do things. You're trying to do way too much, and you're just dead. Okay, so what I think is kind of probably more beneficial than actually just watching the rest of this, because I'll go over at the end everything I think you did wrong for the most part. But let's see where. I'm trying to remember how do I. Any of these games have Jugg? I remember some team picking Jugg fairly recently. I just can't remember who. Oh, okay. Did they end up winning this game? I can't remember. But let's see. Let's just look at what he does for the most part. Because I think it's quite beneficial to compare what you do to like what someone of ton of large experience does. What just happened? Are we going into the game? I didn't even click watch game. Okay, it looks like we are. So they picked Jugg. I'm sorry, I actually just want to see where they picked Jugg, because this could help you as well. Oh, they picked him 4th. Okay, so they actually picked Jugg in a Bloodseeker, which is interesting. They pick Ursa here, and that's an interesting pick. Oh, EG played Jugg. Okay, that's probably even better. So Jugg, I think, is believed to be some sort of a Spectre counter, because Spectre can't really disjoint Omni Slash. And Healing Ward is quite good against Spectre, because it often does a lot of chip damage to everyone, and Healing Ward can heal everyone up. Forward Gaming picks Night Stalker. That is really weird. However, I'm somewhat of a fan. And then they pick Lich. Their team comp is mega weird. Seems like they have a offlane CM, I would guess. I really do like Forward Gaming's draft, though. To be fair, I like how they did it. Alright. Let's see. So, for starting items, this is actually a build. I didn't expect to talk about this, but just briefly, this is a build that a lot of safe laners going now. Just in general, you just buy, what the heck, Yawar's CM? Is he mid? What is this? Maybe they weren't taking this game seriously. Hopefully they were, but this is kind of weird. Maybe they just think CM's a good mid laner. Who knows? Okay. But yeah, 9 tangos and 2 branches is a pretty fine build. He's probably about to get beat. Oh no, okay. Maybe they're killing the silencer. I feel like they maybe could have killed him there. Oh, Yawar's probably dead. So you notice, like, instantly he buys a Quelling Blade. Obviously he gets First Blood, so it's different. But, you know, you have to buy this item. Okay, they must not have been trying, because Yawar is definitely not a position 5 player. Who's mid? MSS on Spectre? Yeah, alright. I know in some of these qualifiers, teams like weren't trying for whatever reason. I don't know the reason, but maybe RTC was trying. We'll just kind of look at some of the things he does. So. So in this situation, I guess he probably feels like his lane's pretty strong, so he doesn't have the need to push out the lane. Skip ahead a little bit. So he's doing a very good job pressuring, as we can see. He's really putting a lot of pressure on the Bloodseeker. This is something just overall as a carry player, you can always do better for the most part. He's sacrificing some of his CS, but really denying the Bloodseeker very hard. So I think often this might seem like a Bloodseeker favored lane, but he's playing so aggressive that if the Bloodseeker tries to trade with him, now this is kind of awkward. But you notice he gets the healing reward level 4. And as I talked about, you can like kind of show up to pull camps. If you feel like you can't contest the lane, you show up to the pull camp. You know, there's no reason you can't do that. I feel like a lot of carry players just for some reason, like he wasn't the one that pulled obviously, but it is something you can do still. So yeah, Jugg is obviously very good at doing that, where you just kind of spin someone down. And you'll notice he hits his phase boots timing, and then he instantly starts going for kills. So if you're ever going to play Jugg in the future, that's something that's just good to do. When you hit phase boots, you really start going for kills because you will be able to stay on top of them with spin. Sorry, this game seems like it's a mess. But you can stay on top of them with spin and then continue to right-click them afterwards. So he's playing mega aggressive. This is more than you probably have to in order to win your pubs. But it's really relentless. And notice how he kind of takes advantage of his cart. He pushes out the lane with the cart wave, it seems, for the most part. And then makes a pretty big outplay. It's going to feed. So feeds a lot of gold to Universe there. Probably not the best case scenario. Yeah, it seems like they're kind of memeing this game. So kind of unfortunate, but you'll know he instant by Coiling Blade. He actually doesn't even go for a kilo, which I think is a little weird. I don't know if that's correct, to be honest. Seems like he's going back for it. I think you definitely go with kilo on Jugg. Alright, he is. So he's going for this like mega stats build. I probably don't think this is the best way. Like I think stats are good, but for the most part, going some farming build in pubs and lower reward games is probably better. For the most part, it's easier to execute. All right, I wish it was more of this was more of a serious game. Seems like kind of a joke, but we'll still see how he plays engagements. What? Wait, what? How did he end up on the hill? All right, I have no idea how he got on the hill, but that was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. So that was like probably a good rotation if he didn't end up on the hill and actually could have done spin damage to someone. But he did instantly initiate with Omnislash, so maybe I would say that's probably okay because he thought he could burst him and he was a little bit separated. Okay, they're definitely joking around. They would never do that in an official. Alright. Notice here he's using He's using his healing word so that he can take ancients, and he has no problem. The nice thing about this like stats build and drums build is you have so much mana regen, so you can just infinitely spam spin camps. He'll probably spin this one, yeah, like so. You can get a lot of efficiency out of this build, to be fair, but you notice he never buys a clarity up until this point. It's just not something you really buy on Jug. And then you notice he transitions his jungling into kills rather than trying to just force things the whole time. You know, he actually just more or less shows up to things. As a carry player, you want to be able to stay on top of the net worth but still participate. And the best way to do that is like you jungle, and then if something happens, you instantly snap and go there. But in your game, you kind of just like, you would go to a lane trying to make something happen and then go back to another lane, go for another kill. It's like you were in this endless, constant state of fighting where you need to be more in this situation of, I'm jungle. Sorry, where you need to be in more of like a balance where you jungle, and then if someone's out of position, then you go help fight. But you notice like he's on top of the net worth, and pretty much this game's a lot different from yours, right? Because you were in a free farm lane while he was in a heavy contest lane. But I think in terms of lane mechanics, how he played this game was really just smooth. So now once again he shows up to the fight. This one, this is definitely terrible actually. Seems like they probably end up losing this game. Oh, okay, never mind. They're up 10k. Usually goes back for Battle Fury. I can't tell if, to be honest, I wish this was more of an official game. So I cannot tell how serious this build is. However, I don't think it's that bad. Like, it's not horrendous, at the least. However, I do think Shadowblade is definitely one of the best Jug items. Hands down, definitely one of the best. Gives you just attack speed, the ability to farm, and an extremely good item for split pushing. Just in general. Also, it's just nice for getting position for Omnislash. So overall, I would say it's just good. Alright, but the main things I think you should probably try to take out of this are, don't buy so many clarities in the early game, just kind of unnecessary. This stat build is something I would kind of recommend. It's definitely harder to execute because you have to be more clean about your movements rather than just farming to win, which is a lot easier to do. And he obviously didn't have to solo carry this game by any means. Jug is definitely not the type of hero I think you want to play. I don't think it's definitely not one of the best solo carry heroes. It's much better as like a hero that can just get 2 kills in the fight and then be like, you're just happy about that. It's nice to really have like a Necro who can consistently pump out damage, because Jug's more of like a, yeah, as I said, just like a kill 2 heroes, kill 1 hero, something of the sort in a fight. But the main things I think are like around this point when he's struggling. Okay, I went way too far back. He ends up dying there. What's he do here? You notice like he jungles, And he actually takes ancient camps on Jugg. This is interesting. But seems like he prioritizes ancient camps when he has healing ward off cooldown. Then he just spins through camps. Nothing's going on really, but he sees like kind of like a potential lane to kill. Right, the Spectres getting pressured by a silencer. They're consistently putting pressure, and now he sees two heroes go here. Right, so now that he's juggling, he's paying attention to the map. Obviously, this is definitely a meme game if you look at the CM's build. But and then now he shows up. Right, a fight develops in some sort, and then he shows up and gets a quick kill. And, then it's up to you if you want to continue fighting. Obviously here he feels that it's acceptable. However, they don't get the kill. And he immediately goes back to farming. Actually taking ancient camps, which is kind of interesting. He's definitely farming around his team, however, he's farming in patterns that allow him to show up to fights, but continue to keep his net worth up. His CS is kind of low, but he was contesting lanes, and he was definitely took a few more early engagements than you did, I believe. That was a really nice healing word placement. And you notice in a lot of situations, in games like your games might not always look like this because they won't necessarily pressure the top lane as much, but often as a Jugg, especially when they have no way of threatening your spin TP, however he doesn't have spin TP here, but he sees them top, then you go to the opposite lane. You really don't always have to go to the safe lane. In fact, a lot of the times I think it's quite bad. I'm going to pause the video here. I think that's kind of enough. I don't want to say way too much. But just as a summary, main things I would try to focus on for you is definitely buy Quelling Blade earlier. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but it's just something I think is important. Buy Quelling Blade. Make better judgment calls, and sometimes that's hard to do. That just takes experience. But for the most part, what I would say is instead of trying to force every single fight that comes to you, maybe make some play like play more like RTC does this game, where he kind of jungles, and then obviously he had a good lane where he went for a lot of kills. But when it comes more into the mid game, instead of just like running at the first tier he saw, or like trying to defend every little tower, or obviously they didn't take any towers this game, so it's different. Every game of Dota is different. But as a concept, maybe try to jungle, take ancients with the healing ward, spin down other camps, and then when things are developing, especially if you don't prefer like a drums build, then when things are developing, you pop a clarity, you go Omni slash your hero. If you have to get out, you get out. If not, you stay and you fight. But instead of just trying to force things constantly, which you didn't necessarily do the whole game, right? You did have a period in time where you were farming, which I think you could have been a lot more efficient about. You had a lot of downtime where you'd push a tower and not go farm something, so you definitely need to be more efficient with your movements. Just overall, try to instead of thinking about what to do, just be like, I'm gonna push out lanes if it's safe. First off, recognize the heroes that can kill you if they're showing. Push out lanes if they're not, and you feel threatened, then jungle. And if you feel like your team is in a position to fight, farm towards their direction so that you can show up there without having to TP and get their lane. And hopefully this will allow you to stay on top of the net worth charts, instead of falling far behind because you're going for just every little kill. Try to pick your engagements a lot better. If you have any questions or feel like I missed anything or anything you're curious about, because it is something hard for me to cover. Safe lane is a position I'm working to learn more about, but currently I'm focusing mostly on support. However, if there's anything you want me to ask anyone who would know better, definitely let me know. But hopefully what I said so far up to this point is helpful. All right, thanks for getting some coaching. This is the first time I've actually done this for a student, so hopefully it went well. Obviously I've done this for Gameleap before, but yeah, thank you for just asking me to coach. See you.